Where's Emily?
Upstairs. Okay. Okay. Okay, Dad, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, today we have my father and we're interviewing him on how music has culturally impacted him. So first I want to ask, what made you start your interest in music? As in like listening and to playing music?
I grew up in a household of 4 brothers and sisters, all older except my twin sister. So 3 older siblings who were immersed in music. Now, I grew up in the 70s, and my sisters, one brother and one sister grew up in the late 60s. There was nothing but music in the house, everywhere. Now, this is pre-MP3 and digital music. This was LPs where you actually put a physical record onto an LP player, but our house had 3 LP players. And no matter what room you went into, there was always music. Radio was huge then. Everybody had a small transistor radio or a tape cassette player. And there was all sorts of rock and roll, jazz, blues, rhythm and blues, some classical. My mother loved Beethoven, and there was always music everywhere.
I can tell that has carried through his life because there still is music on no matter what room he's in, there's always music on.
That's right.
So what is a music type you have carried on from the past to now? Like your favorite like style, genre, instrument, band, like anything?
Oh, I always admired guitarists that can play with feeling. Doesn't have to be technically proficient, although I do lean toward that way. My favorite guitarist and musician of all time is a gentleman named Eric Johnson. His album in 1990 changed my life. I was getting disenchanted with rock, and I thought it reached its limits. There's musically, from a technical perspective, there's not much more you can do in rock that's already been done. And when I listened to Eric Johnson, it changed. I could not believe rock and roll can sound like that. It turns out he is a blues-based guitarist from Austin, Texas, but he was able to bend the rules and take music to a totally different place than anybody was doing it at that time. And it helped very much that he was also a very emotional player. Your typical rock player plays a bend like this. Eric Johnson plays a bend. I mean, it's just night and day when you hear Eric Johnson versus other musicians. I love the blues genre, but Pat Metheny is a jazz guitarist who is a totally different direction and feel. His album changed my life, Secret Story, that came out in 1992. It was all instrumental. A lot of his stuff is all instrumental, but he purposely made an album that had a soundtrack feeling to it. And some of the compositions in that album just blew me away. But then I'll go to classical. I listen to Vivaldi's Four Seasons every single day, just to get me in the mood. It actually helps me concentrate. So it's hard to limit it to one genre. That's our dog in the background. It's hard to limit one genre of music that extends itself. Pretty much all genres stick with you if they are important to you.
Okay. How has your music taste or style changed over the years?
Oh my gosh, great question. I was the only kid freshman in college, where I would gravitate toward putting George Winston on. He is a new age pianist, and while other people were putting on the Police and the Outfield and Stevie Ray Vaughan, which I love, don't get me wrong. I liked also listening to George Winston. Winter into Spring, the album was called, and I love the fact that I was able to have an ear for different styles of music. When I started my first job that I got when I moved to North Carolina, my boss ended up being, I didn't know, but he was a jazz musician, went to Berklee School of Music in Boston. He turned me on to a gentleman by the name of Charlie Parker, who is a saxophonist and essentially wrote the entire genre of bebop jazz. And man, once I started listening to his stuff, I could not stop listening to it. It's always, it never ends. It never ends. I just listened to an original composition on a Guitar Forum last night that, believe it or not, has a gypsy label. There is something called gypsy jazz. And it sounded beautiful. It was different, and I wouldn't think I would like it, but I loved it. So I'm not going to say that I love all music. There's certain songs that I'm going to turn off. Not that I'm picky, but as far as instrumental music is concerned, I'm pretty much wide open. But I love the blues guitar, jazz guitar, and also instrumental piano.
Okay, so you would say you have a huge variety of music that you listen to?
I would agree with that.
Would you say that reflects into what you play? Like you play a lot of different genres, or do you stick to one?
When it comes to guitar, believe it or not, no. It's just when I just feel like playing the blues. That's all maybe some light jazz. There's some light jazz licks. Again, I'm not all that great at it, but there's some other styles of jazz that I can hear and actually transcribe on the fretboard. But when I sit in front of a piano, it's all country music. Now, where did that come from? I have no idea. Seriously, I have no idea where that came from. So when I sit in front of the piano, I love playing light country and slow country type of melodies. They just feel right in front of me. But piano for sure, guitar for sure, blues, rock, and jazz.
How would your life and culture be changed without music?
Oh man, holy cow! It affects everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm thinking about my wedding song with my wife, "Baby I'm Amazed" by Paul McCartney. Maybe I'm amazed. Sorry, he does say "baby" later on in the verse. I mean, that song alone is just stunning, gorgeous. I mean, you telling me without the Beatles, where would we be as a culture? I don't even know how to answer that question. We'd be devoid of all emotion and expression. We'd be a stuck race.
Yeah, so you're saying it not only has it affected you personally, it's affected all of society.
Oh, sure.
I completely agree with that, because I think that like music throughout the years like expresses the things of that generation, like emotions and things that you wouldn't be able to express in any other form.
It's the universal language.
Yeah.
I'll go on a guitar forum, and a guy from Australia and then a guy from Norway will all have opinions on what the best Beatles album is, or who's the best blues player and stuff like that. And 99% of the time we agree and stuff, and then there's that 1% we're like, no, I like this guy because of this and this, and it's the ultimate universal attraction. It brings people together.
Yeah. Why is the tradition of music special to you?
Tradition of music.
Meaning like, just like the way music has been in your whole life.
Oh my gosh.
In the role it's played.
It's helped with anxiety. It's helped me concentrate. It's helped me actually relax to a point where I can put some clear perspective on things. I've made the best of friends over meeting at a rock concert. There's a really tight vibe among musicians where there's really another connection, not just a friendship level, but a deeper connection, because there's this really vibe that goes deep. When you're passionate about music, you're typically passionate about a lot of things in life, and so yeah, it's a real bond. I can name 5 or 6 good friends that we bonded over music and then became good friends.
That's a good answer. And the last question is, how do you want music to be passed down through generations? Like, how would you want it to affect people in the future, like your family? Like,
sure.
What is multiple ways you would
keep your ears and brain wide open. Don't limit yourself to any particular music, and I made this mistake. I mentioned George Winston as a freshman in college. I felt a little ashamed. Don't feel ever ashamed at liking any pieces of music. I just downloaded a rap album two weeks ago.
What album?
It was the not Run DMC, the one I texted you.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember it escapes me. But because I heard a groove in it that was like so cool, and I'm typically, if I hear 1 5-second span of something that catches my ear, I'm gonna listen to an entire work of stuff by the artist, because I'm of the belief that, you know, if they can write this 5-second thing that catches my ear, I wonder what else they got out there. But back to the original question. I also I'm a traditionalist. I think everybody should expose themselves to some level of classical. I don't mean to become a classical expert and name all the pianists of the Romantic period. But listen to some string quartets. There's a cellist by the name of Yo-Yo Ma. If you listen to his stuff, I mentioned the 5-second span. It's going to catch your ear, and it's beautiful stuff. It's just and that's the other thing. A human being picking up an instrument, whether it's a cello, violin, guitar, piano, the ability to make music is God-given, and it's a special thing to have, and it's also a special thing to appreciate. It's a fascinating thing, and it's a lifelong thing. If you got the bug at 5 years old, guaranteed you're still going to have it at 95 years old. It's very, very rare people drop off their love of music. It's always a lifetime passion that continues on.
So, music overall has taught you to not be ashamed of like what you like.
Absolutely.
And that to always keep your eyes open and never miss an opportunity for something new.
That's exactly right.
Sounds good.
And in today's electronic age, with the ability you can hum a couple of bars into Google and it will tell you what that song and artist is. Take advantage of that. And do what you want, do what you like, listen to what you like. And because music there's only one thing music does, man. It just makes you feel good.
So when you think of culture, music might not be the first thing that you think of, but if you think about what he said, it can really impact you in the way that you think, act, raise your family, and basically everything. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Where's my check?